This is a story of the limits of human endurance, a friendship tested by unthinkable horror, and of how, in the most frozen corners of the world, the will to survive burns hotter than ever imagined. Viewer discretion is advised. This story contains graphic accounts of plane crash trauma, starvation, and survival cannibalism. October 12, 1972, Montevideo, Uruguay. The Old Christians Club rugby team boards a Fairchild FH-227D twin-engine turboprop aircraft. Spirits are high. Laughter echoes through the cabin as teammates, family, and friends prepare to fly across the Andes Mountains to Santiago, Chile. There are 45 people aboard. Most are in their teens and early 20s. Many are connected through school, family, or the rugby club. A few older adults, including crew members and the team's coach, fill the rest of the manifest. What should have been a short trip became the beginning of a nightmare, a place none of them could escape, a place most of them would never leave. The flight is smooth at first, but weather in the Andes can change quickly. Dense clouds roll in, visibility drops to near zero. To cross the mountains, pilots rely on estimated location using radio beacons and visual cues. But they make a tragic miscalculation. Believing they have already crossed the range, they begin to descend. They hadn't cleared the mountains at all. October 13th, 3:34 p.m. Suddenly, out of the clouds, a towering ridge appears, far too close. The pilots pull up, but it's too late. The plane slams into a slope at 13,000 feet. The plane's right wing shears off first, then the left. The tail section snaps and spirals into the abyss. Bodies are thrown, metal screeches, snow explodes in every direction. The fuselage slides hundreds of feet before coming to a stop on a frozen glacier. 12 people die instantly. Several others suffer critical injuries, fractured skulls, broken legs, massive internal trauma. In a matter of seconds, life became death, and paradise became purgatory. The survivors crawl from the wreckage, some screaming, some silent in shock. Blood soaks into the snow. The wind howls around them. They are stranded, high in the Andes, with no food, no rescue, and no way down. The altitude is nearly 12,000 feet. Oxygen is thin. The sun burns during the day, and temperatures plunge to minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit at night. They have little to survive with. A few chocolate bars, some wine, thin clothing, torn plane seats for shelter. They take stock of the dead, move bodies into the snow to slow decomposition, nurse the wounded as best they can. Nando Parado is unconscious, his skull fractured. His sister Susanna is gravely injured, his mother is already dead. For the first few nights they wait. They believe help is coming, it has to be. They're on a flight path. People know they're missing. But snowstorms rage, the white plane blends into the glacier, no rescue comes. By day 3, more survivors begin to die, succumbing to injuries, exposure, or shock. Nando Parado wakes after 3 days in a coma, only to learn his mother is dead and his sister is barely alive. Susanna dies in his arms shortly after. Hope faded faster than the sun behind the mountain peaks, but despair lingered. They begin melting snow for water using metal from the wreckage. Food supplies are gone. Hunger sets in, gnawing at them. Bellies ache. Muscles weaken. Skin clings to bone. Quote, survivor Roberto Canessa. It was not hunger that led us to do it. It was the fear of death. Then comes a devastating blow. On day 11, someone gets the radio working. What they hear changes everything. A Chilean news announcer's voice crackles over the static. After extensive aerial searches, authorities have called off the rescue efforts. All passengers of the Fairchild flight are presumed dead. There is stunned silence. Some weep, others go quiet, too numb to process it. They were officially declared dead, but they were still breathing. As frostbite spreads and snowstorms batter their shelter, the harshest reality of all begins to settle in. If they want to live, they must save themselves. Starvation is no longer a distant fear. It is immediate. Men begin to pass out. Some hallucinate. Most lose 30 to 40 pounds in just a few weeks. One night, a few of them gathered to discuss what no one dared say aloud. They would have to eat the dead. They argue, they pray, they cry. But slowly, the decision becomes inevitable. They begin with those who had already died, preserving the dignity of choice by writing a pact. If I die, you may use my body to survive. They did not feast. They endured. Every bite was agony, every choice, a scar that would never heal. Using broken glass, they carefully cut strips of frozen flesh, often from the glutes, the thickest muscle. They dry it in the sun. They cry, they pray, and they eat. This act, born of desperation, keeps them alive. Day 17, midnight. The survivors are sleeping inside the fuselage, crammed together for warmth. The wind howls through the mountains. Then suddenly, a low rumble. Without warning, an avalanche slams into the fuselage. Snow crashes down like concrete. The opening is buried. 8 people are instantly smothered to death. Among them, Liliana Mathol, the last surviving woman, and Marcelo Perez, the rugby team captain. Those still alive are trapped, packed beneath meters of snow, in complete darkness, gasping for air. They had survived a plane crash, starvation, and now they were being buried alive. They dig frantically, using elbows and bare hands. It takes hours. Eventually, a small hole is punched through the snow, letting in light and air. But the cost is devastating. Only 19 remain. The avalanche erases any lingering illusion that rescue might come. More time passes. Starvation returns. The bodies of the dead are again used to survive. But now, a small group begins to prepare for something unimaginable, climbing out of the Andes. They select 3, Nando Parrado, Roberto Canessa, and Antonio Vicentin. They build a makeshift sleeping bag from aircraft insulation and seat covers. Sunglasses are made from plastic sun visors. Bits of aluminum become water scoops and knives. On day 61, they set out, carrying strips of meat, a few makeshift tools, and a will forged in ice. They were 3 young men with no climbing experience. No maps, no compass, just determination. For 3 days they climb. Every step is agony. They sleep in the snow. Nando, driven by the death of his mother and sister, pushes forward relentlessly. On the 3rd day, they reach the top of a massive peak. They expect to see Chile. Instead, more mountains. Canessa breaks down. He's ready to turn back. But Nando points to a distant green valley, impossibly far away. There is life down there. They press on. After several more days, Vicentin is sent back to conserve food. Parrado and Canessa continue. Then, on day 70, they see a river. A shepherd across the bank spots them. He throws them bread, then a note tied to a rock. Nando writes, "I come from a plane that crashed in the mountains. I am Uruguayan. We need help." The shepherd rides for help. Day 72, December 22, 1972. A Chilean rescue team scrambles helicopters toward the coordinates Nando Parrado provided. The terrain is too treacherous to land safely. Only one chopper at a time can descend. The rescuers are stunned at what they see. Emaciated, frost-bitten men in ragged clothing emerging from behind the broken fuselage. They carry the bodies of their dead friends to the snowbank and wait, solemn and silent. It wasn't just a rescue, it was a resurrection. On December 22nd and 23, all 14 survivors still on the mountain are flown out. One after another, lifted away from the glacier that had held them prisoner for over 2 months. The world reacts with shock and joy. They had been presumed dead. Instead, they were alive. After the initial euphoria, the press wants answers. How did they survive for 72 days in the mountains? Then, the story leaks. They had eaten the bodies of the dead. A media firestorm erupts. Headlines use words like cannibalism, horror in the Andes, moral collapse. Some call them monsters. But the survivors speak together, with calm honesty and grace. Nando Parrado, in interview. It was not about flesh, it was about love. It was about choosing life over death and knowing our friends would have done the same. The Vatican responds with understanding. Public opinion begins to shift. In time, their act is viewed not with horror, but reverence. Books are written. Documentaries are made. In 1993, Alive is turned into a Hollywood film. But for the survivors, the legacy is not about the attention. It's about connection, forgiveness, resilience. Most returned to quiet lives. Some became doctors. Nando Parado became a race car driver, businessman, and motivational speaker. Many returned to the crash site in later years, building a memorial cross from the wreckage. They placed the ashes of their friends beneath it. What happened in the Andes was not a miracle of chance, it was a miracle of will, the triumph of humanity over death. They had faced the unimaginable. And they had chosen life. In the end, it wasn't just the cold, the hunger, or the death they had to survive. It was each other, their love, their faith, and their refusal to give up, no matter what the mountain demanded. Thanks for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like the video, subscribe, and follow for more true survival stories from the edge of human endurance. Stay strong. Stay human. Never lose hope.